Hello everyone, my name is Oreoluwa Oderanti and welcome back to my channel Inspired Ore Home Decor. I'm excited for this video that I have for you today. I will be doing my foyer makeover, also called an entryway. I'm really excited to start doing this as this is the first part that I'm tackling ever since we bought our home. And I'm also doing this as part of a one-room challenge. It's a design challenge where designers and creative minds alike come together to make over a space, one room, over the course of 6 to 8 weeks. It's exciting. We get to see various design challenges and various ways that we all tackle all the design recommendations that we have. And in this foyer, I'll be showing you all the changes that I'll be making in this space. As you know, a foyer or entryway is the first entrance, right? It's the first impression into your home. You come into your home as you walk in and you want that space to be beautiful. You want it to be inspiring. So that is what I plan to do in this space. And I will be showing you as we go along what are some of the changes that we'll be making. First up in this space, I will be doing the ceiling makeover. So I'm excited to get on that. Let's get started. Here is the foyer / entryway space that I will be working on. It's the first place when you come into your home. As I've mentioned a lot of times, the entryway is the inviting space and atmosphere into your home. Here you see this pretty neutral walls. There's holes in the wall from when we first moved in, and this is just exactly how we've met the space, and now it's the first space that we're going to be transforming in our first home. You can see here that the floors are pretty outdated, and I have some interesting plans for them as well, as you'll see coming up. I started by creating a mood board or design concept, as I do with any space that I am working on. This helps you visualize exactly the materials that will be going into the space and what they will look like. So the plan is to bring in some color through the paint on the door, and also to bring in some added interest from the hardwares on the door and on the cabinet as well. Bringing in the mirror as well to help bounce light around, and also these really interesting wallpapers on the ceiling and on the wall. This is the wallpaper that I'll be using, and it also goes in to add in that color that I want in the space. It's going to somewhat complement the paint on the door but not match it exactly, which gives that additional interest and dimension that you want to create in your space as well. This wallpaper is a peel and stick from Happy Wall. Whenever I'm applying wallpaper, I really love to use peel and stick because I think it's so easy to use, both to apply and also to take down as well. It's one of the easiest ways to add interest to your space, and also one of the easiest applications in terms of the peel and stick compared to all other wallpaper application types. And everything I use in this video I will be linking in the description below. I will be using the scissors, the razor knife, the laser level, smoother or squeegee, pencil to start my wallpaper application on the ceiling. So I started out by measuring my wallpaper after cutting them pieces by pieces. And as I mentioned earlier, with the laser level, it just helps you to get a straight line during your wallpaper application. I'm starting at the end of the ceiling here. This is also my first time adding wallpaper to the ceiling at all. I've added wallpapers to the walls, but the ceiling is a completely different game. When I was done, my hands and arms were like really hurting, but it was totally worth it. And also challenging because, you know, so much learning curves here. Doing this for the first time, but again, I learned through this process, and I can say that I might be ready to do another wallpaper too soon, maybe. Wallpaper ceiling application, we'll see. So when installing peel and stick wallpaper, you want to carefully expose the adhesive part and then apply as you go, and then you can adjust and straighten it out. And that's why peel and stick wallpaper is a better application, because it's just easier to adjust as well as you go along. And then you also make sure that you're smoothing out the bubbles as you go with the smoother or squeegee, which is so helpful. When it came to this third piece of the wallpaper on the ceiling, I thought I was going to be able to go around these ceiling light fixture because I had an electrician come in and install it for us, but it was not possible, so I ended up having to take it out myself, cut out the shape through the wallpaper, and then having to install the light fixture back myself. It was a ton of work, but it had to be done. It definitely made the rest of the process easier after that. So when you don't have obstacles in your way during wallpaper application, easy breezy. But when you do, you just have to maneuver and cut, cut around it, and which will make your job much easier. After installing the wallpaper on the ceiling, I'm just using my razor knife here to taper the edges and give it that smooth finish. After I was done with the wallpaper installation, then I went ahead to put the fixture back. Whenever I'm doing anything electrical, I make sure that the light is off at the circuit breaker. So please make sure that's done for you as well if you were ever going to handle anything electrical. Otherwise, please, there is no shame in hiring a professional to do it for you. This flush mount lighting added the perfect eclectic modern style that I wanted to this foyer. Whenever you're looking for a fixture for your space, you want to consider the length and the width. And what you can do with that is you add up both of them. Let's say your length is 10, and then let's say your width is also 10. You want to add that up, that will give you 20, and then that will be the width and the size of the overall shape of the fixture that you want to use for that space. After the wallpaper on the ceiling, the next thing was to install the wallpaper on the walls as well, and I'm just getting the walls ready for that process. Taking these coat hooks out, which I will be replacing as well, and also giving this space a completely different look. as you see me doing here. And while I'm applying, if I need to adjust, I simply just peel it and then reapply again. That's why I love peel and stick. Now with other applications, it's completely different because you're using, like whether you're using the non-paste or the pasted method, you're dealing with the glue, you're dealing with the glue that you first of all have to apply, or in the non-pasted one, the paper doesn't have the glue on it, so you have to apply it. And in the pasted one, the glue is there. It's different from the peel and stick. But anyway, instead of messing with all those methods, including the traditional methods, if you're looking for an easy way to apply wallpaper, peel and stick is the way to go. It also comes off easily on your walls too down the line whenever you're ready to take off the wallpaper. However, with other methods, which I've also tried, when you apply the glue and it's time to take them off, then you have to go through the hassle of spraying it with water, using a blow dryer, all of that. I haven't really gone through that whenever I'm taking off peel and stick, so try peel and stick. After all the wallpaper installation, I started prepping the doors for painting, starting with the front door. I used the 80 grit sand block to start sanding all the surfaces so that it's easier and the paint has a better surface to adhere to.
So then, why?
getting ready to paint, I will be using this auric color by Sherwin-Williams. It's a nice yellow color that isn't too bright but just adds the right amount of depth and interest to the space. One thing that you'll notice as I go along in this video is I tried as much as possible to use whatever I have to finish up this entire process. So besides the things I purchased already, like this stick for example that I didn't purchase, I just found it and I'm using it to mix. So that's what we're doing throughout this entire video, using what we have. And then when you start painting, you want to start from the bevels, as you see me doing here, especially on a paneled door. You want to start from the bevels and you want to use brush to go into those corners, because that can be definitely hard to get into with a roller. And then you want to start with the bevels, go to the panels, and then you go to the center styles as you move around both vertically and horizontally. Eventually you want to finish off with painting the outer styles of the door. Tried to do this front door painting in one day, so it required about 4 hours of drying process in between. So I did 2 coats, first coat after the 4 hours, then the second coat.
Helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes by creating an imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves.
Calling this the tapered knife process or method. Instead of taking off the hinges on your doors or taping them off, you can just use a tapered knife like this to cover the hinges and then slowly and gradually paint along those areas with a brush. After all the painting was done, and I'll get to the other door as well, that eventually I started off cleaning the floors, because again this was part of a one-room challenge and we were doing this, trying to get this done in about 8 weeks. I believe by the time I was doing these doors it was about the 3rd week or the 4th week. So here I'm just vacuuming the floors, getting it ready for painting. After vacuuming, then I'm using my cedar mop here. I'm basically just adding a cleaner and I'm going to clean and wipe off the floors. After that process of cleaning and mopping the floors, I'm going to be sanding the floor tiles as well. I'm basically just using a 120 grit sandpaper for the floors to do this. The reason that I'm also sanding this floor tiles is not only a recommendation by the paint company that I'll be using, but also to give it a better adhesion. This is also a high traffic area, coming in, going out, so we want to make sure that when I apply the paint onto the floor, it has something to grip onto, and it's also going to last a long time.
It helps the
is the Epodex tile paint which I will be using on this tiled floors. I had a lot of doubts before purchasing this. I watched a lot of videos on their website before I was finally convinced to buy, but after applying it, I can truly say that I highly recommend if you want to paint any tiled areas in your home. This is such a great product. Basically, I'm combining it in a ratio of 4:1 because I bought just enough of what I needed for this space. So you're mixing it in 4:1, first with the paint and then with the hardener. And then I'm going to use just enough of what I need for the first coat and then the other half for the second coat. Because of the application of hardener in this tile paint, you want to make sure that you wash out your brush and your rollers as soon as you're done with this process, if you also intend to use them for future projects, because the hardener will end up hardening your tools as well. So in order to prevent that, wash out your tools right away as soon as you're done. Again, like I mentioned before, using what I have. So I found this somewhere and I'm using it to stir my tile paint. However, I did realize later on that Epodex actually added a turning stick for me to use, which was my fault for missing that. But anyway, use what you have or whatever is already provided for you. So as I start this process, I'm using the brush first to cut in at all the edges and also in between the grout lines, and then I'm using my rollers to go in to give it a proper adhesion to the rest of the floors.
Why?
After painting the floors, I wanted to give it that smooth finish and also that additional professional touch by just adding some streaks with these iridescent paints that I bought from Amazon. So they have like a shimmering look, which you can see when you get closer to them. Again, I didn't want to overpower the space, just to give it that perfect smooth finish. If you're still here watching, thank you so much. Please don't forget to smash that like button and also to subscribe for more videos like this. The next step in this process was to actually get this mental load off my head, which I'd been thinking about for weeks, but it was time to get started on building the cabinet that I wanted in this space to bring in functionality as well. So I went to Home Depot, bought the plywood. I ended up buying 1/2-inch plywood because I had watched this video of this guy that said it was better to buy 1/2-inch plywood. And you know what? Honestly, I also agreed, because during COVID, I built a L-shaped table for my kids, also for the first time at that time, to help them do their homework, because you know we were indoors, so they needed somewhere to be able to do their homework. And I built that using 3/4-inch plywood, and I can tell you, by the time I was done, that table was so heavy. So when I saw this guy talking about using a 1/2-inch plywood to, you know, build cabinets or things like that so that it's lighter, I was like, hey, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. So I bought 1/2-inch plywood. But depending on what you're building and on the depth of what you're building as well, you'll need a 3/4-inch plywood as opposed to a 1/2-inch plywood, as you'll see as I go along in this video. So something else I'm doing for the first time here is I'm also using this circular saw for the first time. I was so nervous using this. I watched a video, which I also link below. The lady actually really helped explain the exact process of how to use a circular saw, which gave me more confidence in doing this. And as I was doing this, I was so scared, and I was looking forward to being done with this first step of cutting. So let's see how this goes. As you can see, I was really excited and happy to have gotten my first cut and to be able to use a circular saw. I was so excited, and I can explain what it feels like to be able to use a power tool. So if you're ever thinking of starting anything, just start, okay? Stop overthinking it. And then here I'm just measuring and over measuring and making sure that whatever I cut is exactly what I need, and I don't want to waste any of the pieces that I bought already. Again, using what you have. We have this exercise bench in our garage already, and that's what I'm using for my work table. Maybe down the line I'll invest in one, but for now, just using this along with that storage box as my leveling surface.
Right. By creating an imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves.
Although something that would be nice to invest in eventually down the line is the track table, I think it's called. Helps you as you move along and as you cut with your saw, that you're also cutting in a straight line. So that's something that I definitely needed, because I noticed that as I was cutting, some of the things that I was doing was not exactly straight, but I was able to fix that with sanding after I was done.
So then, why? why?
I remembered here that the circular saw also has a laser line that helps you to see what you're cutting based on your measurements that you have taken. So I decided to use that as well here. But again, I still think even putting this laser level against a track table would be so much easier to get a straight line. After cutting, I'm using my orbital sander, which I already have, to sand all the surfaces to a smooth finish before applying a primer. I'm using a 220 grit sandpaper to do this.
So then, why?
After sanding, it was time to apply my primer. I'm using this all-purpose primer, which I already have as home as well. Basically putting on a first coat, waiting for it to dry, and then putting on a second coat as well, so that I make sure that when I'm painting the surface that it is completely foolproof, scar-proof, ready to go basically. After adding the primer and waiting for it to dry, I started using this jig that I bought from Amazon to create the circular holes where I'll be adding my concealed hinges for the cabinet. Now this is where the 1/2 inch was of no use, because there's a certain depth that I'm supposed to drill these holes to for a concealed hinge, and by the time I was done, it messed up my my 1/2 inch plywood on the other side. I ended up having to run to Home Depot to go get 3/4 inch plywood just for the doors for this project, and having to now come back, do the jig again, replace it, and use it to build the doors. Continuing along those lines, I'm using my clamps, which I already have at home, to put my cabinet together. Basically, I use the clamp to hold the two cabinet pieces together, and then I'm going to start counterclockwise screwing them in with the drill. Again, using what I have, which is a drill, because some people would use nail guns and I did not have a nail gun. I had actually got a staple gun which I was going to use, but I quickly found out that that required some other tool or equipment to get it to work. So I'm just using my drill and drill bits to screw in the pieces, and my clamps holding the boards down together just helped me make this process easy. And this is the messed up 1/2 inch plywood that I had to end up changing to a 3/4 inch plywood. There are different types of hinges that you could use on your doors, but I was looking for two things: something that would give me a soft close, something that would be hidden as well, and that's why I went with this concealed hinges.
Why? It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes by creating an imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves.
So I'm attaching my doors to the side panels of the cabinet, and here you'll see that my doors are slightly shorter than the side panels, and that's because I want a slight reveal at the top and at the bottom of my cabinet when you look at them from the front. In order to finish up, I'm using this plywood edging to cover the plywood edges, because if you buy plywood, you'll notice that it generally has rough edges, and those edges are not exactly appealing when you paint them. So in order to be able to paint them, you apply this plywood edging, which you just basically have to iron on, and it automatically sticks with the adhesive that's already on it. And that will help when you're painting to get a smooth finish for a plywood surface. just showing you how a concealed soft close hinge works. Basically, if you have kids, I generally recommend using this kind of hinges because you won't hear any hard slams going on between doors and it'll just be a smooth close. Then I go ahead to start applying this paint, which is Dynamo from Sherwin-Williams. And the reason I'm using this paint is it's one of the almost pink colors, or somewhere between pink and purple colors, that is on the wallpaper. And that's another way that you can pick paint colors for your home. You can get an inspiration. It can be from a material that you wear, it can be from a rug or pattern, it can be from a wall art, it can be from a wallpaper such as I'm doing here. My wallpaper on the wall has a ton of colors, and I basically went with one of those colors to bring it into my space to help tie it all together.
It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he described by creating an imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves. So then, why?
was done painting, I decided to also apply polyurethane, which is a clear gloss finish that you can apply to your paint or your projects to help it give it that strong, durable, long-lasting finish. Again, this cabinet is going to be in the foyer, so there's going to be a ton of movements back and forth. It's where I want my kids to store their book bags when they come back from school, so it's a high traffic space. It's going to get a lot of touching movements. I want it to last a long time and without it getting any scuffs or worrying about paint chipping. So the polyurethane is a really great product to use for this. This product has a strong smell, so please make sure you have a mask on or you're at least doing it in a conducive area. Almost to the finish line here, I bring in the cabinet so that I can attach these legs that I also ordered from Amazon to it to help elevate it off the floor and also give it that clean look when it's in the foyer. And here, after I brought in the cabinet, I start attaching the doors, but I quickly found out that I had to adjust the height, and so I ended up having to go back and drill again on the other side so that I can reattach the doors to the cabinet. Hey, learning process, right? And I can always go back and fill up the hole and also paint those inner parts of the doors later on down the line.
So then, why?
I'm ready to attach the door knobs that I bought for the cabinet, and I'm just using this jig to do that. When you're using this jig, also make sure that you also put tape on the cabinet so that when you're drilling in your pilot holes that you don't accidentally mess up the cabinets. As if I didn't have enough work to do already and I was already so tired and just ready to get done with this project, I decided to add a decorative trim to the switches on this walls because previously they were sort of ivory or beige. I'm not sure what was going on, but I wanted it to look clean and white, so I ended up having to change each of the switches as well as the overall plate covering. And come to find out that it was not easy, but I got it done, so thank God. Basically, each of the switches have wiring connected to each one, and you have to make sure that the right wiring is connected, whether it's a ground or it's a neutral, or whether it's a hot wire. You want to make sure that as you're replacing it, you're putting it back exactly where they belong.
So then, why?
super excited about how this space turned out. Like, remember where we started from? It was bland, it was dingy, the floor tiles weren't all that great. Now we turned it up and made it look more modern for how we want to feel in our home, which is what you want to consider when you're creating or updating your space as well, right? We added more colors to this place to make it more modern and inviting. Now when we come into our home, it's like, wow, it looks like a designer shoe house, only it's ours, but it's really crazy. Everything is beautiful. The layout now, it makes a lot of sense. Even adding the storage now makes it even more functional for the space. It's not just a space you walk into, it's actually more functional now. And adding the mirrors also helps to bounce light around the space to make it more brighter. And also the floors, making it white was the better choice for the space because we already added wallpaper to the ceiling, and that with all the colors and all the patterns can start to make it look dark, but balancing it out with the white on the floor and again with the mirrors helps to make things seamless and brighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this makeover. It was a ton of work, a whole lot of learning curves, which I'm sure you saw along the way. But again, thank you guys for being here. If you liked any part of this makeover at all, can you let me know in the comments? I'm really happy to hear from you. Again, thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to see more makeovers that I'll be doing in our home. This foyer is just the first of many makeovers we're going to do in our first home. And I'm really excited about showing you guys the others as I get on with it. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell button so that you can get more updates as we upload new videos and you'll be the first to know. May God guide you in peace as you live in your home and in life. Until next time, bye.